Good evening. City of Homestead City Council meeting Monday, March 17, 2008 will be brought to order. We will have the invocation tonight by Pastor Howard Harden, First Baptist Church of Homestead, and the Pledge of Allegiance by the Police Explorers and Councilman McCormick. Would you please rise?
Let us pray. Our Lord and our God, it is with grateful hearts that we pause to acknowledge you. We acknowledge you as the source of our blessings. We acknowledge you as the author of our rights and even our freedom. And it is with humble hearts that we acknowledge our dependence upon you. And we ask your help and your guidance. We ask for wisdom in all of the work that is done and the decisions that are made this evening as they impact the lives of this community. And I pray these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
I'm going to can't read color. Bird Mars. Bedford Mars. Present arms.
Would you please join me in pledging our nation's flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order arms. Right face forward march.
Thank you. You may be seated. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Bell?
Here.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Here.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Here.
Councilman McCormick?
Here.
Councilman Nelson?
Here.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Here.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Here. Additions, deletions, referrals? Deferrals? Mr. Manager, additions, deletions, deferrals.
Mayor, I'm sorry. Is it difficult to read this one? The church? That's the only thing we have here.
Microphone.
The item listed under 4A just needs to be deferred until April 7th. If we could have a motion on that, please.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the ayes carry. Thank you so much. Special presentations. We have a judicial candidate with us tonight. We have Attorney Stephen Milan, who is a judicial candidate. Would you please welcome?
Thank you. Madam Mayor, members of the council, and members of the community. My name is Stephen Milan, and I'm running for Circuit Court Judge. I'm running in Group 19, which is an open seat. Judge Roger Silver is retiring. I'm running because I believe that judges should be involved in the communities that they serve in, and that they have a moral podium to bring people together, such as Judge Leifman, the way Judge Leifman has done with mental health, and Judge Rosnick with drug court. But lastly, I'm running because as a parent of 5 children in this community, and as the husband of a Dade County school teacher, I believe that, and I'm concerned about our children. I believe in and I am concerned about our children. I'm concerned because more and more children in our community are involved in more and more serious crimes. I'm concerned that as an attorney over the 18 years that I have practiced as a prosecutor and as a private lawyer the last 11 years, 8 years as a prosecutor, I see that, for example, all the homicides that were committed for the first 6 months in Dade County last year were committed by children on children. And what I'm concerned about as a judge is it's all about character. As you know, as politicians per se, and being more in touch with the community that way, judges don't get to talk about the issues per se because we are neutral and we are perceived to not be able to discuss the issues, but it is about character. It's about the examples that we set. For me as a judge, the most important thing is that, to be able to set that example. Many people say that for lawyers there's a dichotomy between professionalism and ethics. and that professionalism is that aspirational goal that lawyers should aspire to, but many don't, and that ethics is that minimal standard. Well, for me as a lawyer and for me as a judge, there is no more pinnacle model than the fact that the two are one, and that as a judge you set the tone, and by your practice of practicing with the two as one, professionalism and ethics, you raise the level of the standard of practice of law, you raise the level of the standard of the judiciary in this community, and more importantly, you set that character example for our children in the community. All of my involvement in this community has been for children as a mentor with younger lawyers, but also more importantly in starting mentoring programs through the Kiwanis and in partnering with the Dade County school system, where we adopted different schools and provided mentoring programs to the inner city schools, working as a guardian ad litem to protect battered and abused children in the court system, and as a scout leader. I appreciate this opportunity to speak to you. I welcome your support. I ask for your support and all of your votes. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Item B, water restriction update, South Florida Water Management District.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, Mr. Manager, members of the council. My name is Nestor Iglesias. I am the lead public information officer for the South Florida Water Management District, and I'm here to give you a brief update on what's going on with the water restrictions. As you know, in December of last year, our governing board voted to implement modified Phase 3 water restrictions throughout the entire 16 counties where the South Florida Water Management District has jurisdiction. Those water restrictions went into effect on January 15th. One of the first questions that I get as a public information officer is, well, why are there water restrictions if we've had above average rainfall in Dade County? And my answer is, well, unfortunately, the Water Management District is not just one county, it's 16. We've had above average rainfall in Miami-Dade, approximately 62 inches last year in 2007. Lake Okeechobee, which serves as our secondary water supply, only received 30. That's a difference of 2 to 1. You look at areas of the district that are right now in critical water levels for their regions. As a matter of fact, you have to go back to 1932, the last time that we had consecutive years, as 06 and 07, where we have broken records, and they're not records that we're not happy to see broken, but the truth of the matter is that it's there. As water managers, we prepare for the worst and we hope for the best. This year we implemented the water restrictions earlier than we did last year due to the fact that Lake Okeechobee today stands almost 5 feet below its historical average. Now, if you stop and you think about Lake Okeechobee, it's 732 square miles of lake. 5 feet missing from that lake is a significant amount of water. When we implemented these Phase 3 water restrictions, modified Phase 3, we took a lot of things into account. First of all, we've worked very closely with the agricultural community. We've worked very closely with the Farm Bureau down here in Miami-Dade County. And obviously, the many nursery growers that depend on water for their livelihood. Another thing that we took into consideration were residents. We got a lot of complaints when we implemented these water restrictions about the 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. watering time. And obviously, a lot of them were senior citizens saying, hey, we can't get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to water. The district took that into consideration, and we allotted a second timetable, basically from 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 8 o'clock in the evening to be allowed to water. Considering all the measures that we've taken, we've tried to keep the community involved via media, radio, print, and obviously making these kind of presentations to distinguished distinguished councils like I have the pleasure of speaking to here tonight. As we enter the dry season, actually the 2 driest months of the dry season, the district is now considering, and this will be actually be coming up in our next governing board, which will be next April, in April. The governing board will be considering implementing year-round water conservation methods, which basically would be looking at allowing people to water year-round only twice a week. It's a measure that people are going to say, well, why are they doing that? Well, you really don't need to water in the middle of a rainy season. So that way we are able to conserve more water during times where we're receiving it, and when the dry season comes around like we are in right now, we have more water so we don't have to go to further restrictions. I thank you for your time. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them at this point.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Do we have this person's card?
We will now have a brief presentation on underage drinking awareness with We Care of South Dade with Nikolai Guzman. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Council, my fellow residents. My name is Nikolai Guzman, and I'm from We Care of South Dade, as well as the Drug Free Communities Coalition. I wanted to share with you 3 points on underage drinking. The national age for initiation of alcohol use is 12.8 years old. We've conducted a survey, a Drug Free Communities Coalition survey, in 3 of our middle schools here in Homestead. And the numbers tell us, and the surveys have told us, when we got all the surveys together, is telling us that 40% of the 436 youth that were surveyed had taken 1 or more sips of alcohol before the age of 10. This is a very high number, and it's very concerning for us. 65% of children that consume alcohol receive it from friends or from families. The best place for a youth to get some type of alcohol is at the home, in the refrigerator, next to the milk. We need to get the education out there so we can stop this from happening. Number 2, the Drug Free Communities Coalition in our fight against underage drinking is not against alcohol. We don't want to stop. We're not against alcohol itself, but we are against underage drinking. Our youth are influenced by adults who model this behavior of drinking, and alcohol affects our entire community through crime, violence, and death. My 3rd point, this issue is emerging in Homestead because of the growth that we are experiencing and the changing dynamics in our demographic, in our population, as well as events that has brought more visitors to our city, like the racetrack, and this is a high tourist attraction because the Keys, we're so close to the Keys, we're the gateway to the Keys. So this has brought a lot of advertising for alcohol and a lot of maybe spring breakers that have come by in our city. We don't want to stop people from having fun. We don't want to stop people who are of legal age limit to consume alcohol. We don't want to stop that. We want to stop our children from drinking and getting hurt, because we know it's proven that someone that drinks before they are 15 years of age, they are 40% more likely to show alcoholic dependency later on as an adult. 2 of the strategies that I've brought today, I want to be very brief with you. We want to be able to, we know it's proven that parents are the key to keeping their kids from, they're the biggest influence from keeping their kids from drinking. We know this. So we want to implement a parent training academy, which we have been partnering with In Familia, which is a nonprofit organization here in Homestead, and they already have a parenting unit. All they would need to add is something on alcohol and drugs. So this is very simple to do. We just need to get the funding to be able to implement those strategies. And also there are new retail vendor training initiatives that are out there where we can go. This can be voluntary for retail, or this could be a city ordinance for retailers to go through a training where they can identify fake IDs, where they can identify a shoulder tap, maybe a shoulder tap method going on where the underage person goes and asks another person to buy them alcohol. They can also know, they can be trained in all the laws that are in place in the city ordinances, and also the state laws regarding the vending of alcoholic beverages. A big thing also is the training to be able to know. A big thing now is the energy drinks. That there's new energy drinks that have alcohol in them, and those are very hard to distinguish from the regular, just the everyday energy drink. So we can train them on that also. Now, my last thing, and I'm closing, 3 requests that we would like for the city to be able to support us in. 1, to be part of the Drug Free Communities Coalition, and to promote the meetings to all the residents to be a part of. Number 2, to provide messages through city employees' paychecks and through energy bills, if possible, to be able to get the message out to parents and to our residents. And lastly, to provide the vendor training for all retail outlets. And once again, like I said, this could be voluntary or this could be through a city ordinance. I want to thank you, Madam Mayor, for giving us the time and your support. Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Guzman. Thank you for coming. It's a very, very important issue, and I appreciate your concern, and I appreciate your work in this field. Thank you. We now have Inspirando Nuestra Juventud. Okay, how do we go last name? Juventud. Inspiring Our Youth Gala event. Ms. Sierra.
Mr. Efrain Nunez, I believe we need to lower the screen. We're probably going to have to move.
Hello. Yeah, it's a PowerPoint presentation, so you might... While we're setting up, I'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of Efrain and myself to thank the Madam Mayor and the council members for granting us this opportunity to bring in this presentation to your attention. Just to give a brief background, basically Efrain and I grew up in labor camps, and basically we were trained to go to school, but once we finished school, our only options was either working at the fields, nurseries, or just dropping our period. But as you can see, Efrain and I broke that mold. So Efrain went to USC, and I went to Miami-Dade College, and we both got our education, and we both became somebody. So basically, this is just to inspire youth that there are other options out there besides fields, besides going to work straight after high school. So, Efrain, you want to take it away?
Okay. Members of the council and mayor, I'm here to talk to you about a program that was created as a joint student organization effort by MASA, which is the Mexican American Student Association at the University of Florida, and Sigma Delta Alpha at the University of Southern California. Growing up in Homestead and having the opportunity to go study to the West Coast and being involved in a lot of community service, I challenged my sister to do something in return for our community. And we wanted to do something in return to help we know that there's a need, and especially in areas where children are underserved. So what we wanted to do was give a little back to the community that supported us in attaining a higher education. So we created this joint venture with the University of Florida and USC to sponsor students of migrant background who had excelled academically, to bring them to the University of Florida and allow them to experience what college life would be. UF had a requirement where all the students that if we would take would have to have a 3.5 GPA and a 1300 or higher on their SAT scores. To our surprise, we had over 20 students who qualified, 19 of them which happened to be girls and only one boy. But we were able to take all these kids who had excelled academically to experience college life at UF and to show them that there is more than Miami-Dade Community College. Not that there's anything wrong, but that there are other great universities, and what we're trying to do is to inspire them to be able to live the college life. And they were able to experience UF for a series of 3 days. There was a series of student panels where they met other students who had the same background as they did, whose parents worked in the fields, but for their achievements in academics were able to to go to UF on a full scholarship. And the trip consisted of 3 days, a series of student panel workshops, icebreakers with other student organizations on campus, such as fraternities, and an introduction to Greek life. And everything was provided thanks to this partnership that we created with USC, UF, and the Mexican American Council. And we're here today because of this joint venture and this one particular child that we ended up taking who didn't meet the requirement because we had a vacancy, but we took him anyways prior to UF screening them. And he made such a big change in his grades. He was a 2.0 or less student from Ferguson Senior High who didn't meet the initial criteria the UF had set, but we took him because we had a vacancy. And ever since he went to the field trip, he has completely changed. He went from a 2.0 GPA to a 3.9 GPA because now he has experienced what college life is. Even if it was for 3 days, he's seen it, he wants it, and he's extremely motivated to attain a higher education. With that, his grandparents, who happen to own Constructive Catering, were extremely motivated with what we had done, and therefore they asked us to start a fundraising gala so we wouldn't have to go around asking for sponsorship to be able to provide this life-changing experience to our children. So where we're at now is with the support of the following municipalities and Atkins and Associates, we're hosting the fundraising gala called Inspiring Our Youth, Inspiration to Education, to continue with our mission, which is to promote Latinos and other underrepresented groups, institutions of higher learning. And our event will take place on the 9th of May, 2008 at 7 p.m. at the Palmetto Bay Village Center, the Palm Room. And we ask members of this council to attend and to sponsor a table, if possible, so we can continue providing this service to the students. And we ended up taking, like I said, a total of 20 students, 10 from the South Dade area. Most of them were from South Dade Senior High, Homestead Senior High, and with the exception of that one student who happened to be from Ferguson Senior High. And that's all I can say, and thank you very much for giving me the time and opportunity to let you know a little bit of Inspiring Our Youth and what it's all about. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Councilwoman. Basically, the tickets for the dinner are $65. Our tables with sponsorship are $1,000. Thank you.
We have one more presentation that'll take place in a few more minutes. Just give it a few minutes. I'll go ahead and entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
Just note that the item on the Galata is, there's an update on your table, so you'll be approving that.
Yes.
I'll move it, Mayor. I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions?
On the minutes, there's one correction. Page number 5 of the minutes states Vice Mayor Councilwoman Sierra. So unless I've had a title change or Mr. Burgess has changed his last name.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been duly noted. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And it carries. Thank you so much. Mr. Attorney?
Good evening. Please be advised that the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment on these items, please indicate the item number you'd like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after the applicant and staff have made their presentations on each item. All testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you not wish to either be cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the counsel to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. The full agenda package on each item is hereby entered into the record. Persons representing organizations must first present evidence of their authority to speak for the organization. Further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk. In accordance with Code Section 2591, any lobbyist must register before addressing the council on any of the following items. At this time, council members, please disclose any ex parte communications concerning items on the agenda.
Mr. Weiss, I have one. I actually met with a representative from Vision Council, and he ended up mentioning item D. So I want that on the record.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I met with Keith Collier and Daryl Cordino about the Chrome Plaza.
Thank you. Anything further? Okay. At this time, the clerk will swear in any persons who wish to testify on any quasi-judicial item.
Please stand and raise your right hand. I state your name, hereby swear or affirm that the information I present shall be the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Thank you.
If you would indulge me for 1 minute, Mr. White and Mr. Weiss, we have a special guest here with us this evening. It's my daughter, Jenna, and my granddaughter. She was a little preoccupied a few moments ago. She wants to address us this evening for just about 2 or 3 minutes about a very important fundraiser that she's conducting. So, Jenna, would you please come forward, please? That's my newest. Chair. Make sure it's turned on, Jenna.
Good evening. I don't know if most of you probably know, but my best friend was killed in a carjacking in December. Her name is Missy Holderman, and she left behind 2 little girls. So we've set up a foundation, and we're doing a fundraiser. It's a reverse raffle for a Harley or $20,000. And I'm selling tickets. The tickets are $100 a piece. The raffle will be held April 5th. In front of Stick and Sand, the police station. We're closing off the road. The ticket includes 2 free dinners with it. There will be a silent auction that night. It's going to be from 6 p.m. to 12 p.m. Like I said, it's a reverse raffle. There's 400 tickets. So the last ticket pulled wins. You do not have to be there to win. This is Missy and her little girls, just so you guys know. I'm going to go ahead and leave it back there somewhere if you want to look at it.
The date?
The date's going to be April 5th. I'll leave my phone number. Actually, I'll write it on here for you guys. You can call me and I have tickets, or you can just let me know. I'm going to be leaving, though. So thank you for your time.
Tell us what the funds are for the girls.
Oh, it's a college account. We're setting up a trust college fund for the girls. So,
thank you, Jenna. Is that not the most beautiful baby you've ever seen? I know that's true, though. Thank you so much, Jenna. We really do appreciate the work that you're doing, and I know there's a lot of people involved in the Missy Holderman fundraiser and the trust, so thank you very much for everything that you're doing for the little girls. Thank you. Mr. White.
Yes, item 7A is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting the request of Valencia Partners, LLC, for a 6-month extension to a previously approved site plan for a 39,000 square foot, 1-story public supermarket and drive-through pharmacy located at the southeast corner of Southwest 344th Street, Palm Drive, and Southwest 167th Avenue, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. I will now open the public hearing. Is there any report on this extension? Is this the first extension on this?
Yes. Good evening, Madam Mayor and member of council. This is the first 6 months extension to a resolution that went to the council last February 2007-0213. It's a 4.88 acre and is a public store that is at the corner of 344 and 167.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from council?
Madam Mayor, I was just wondering, are there any representatives from Publix or the developers here? Okay, guess they won't answer a question then. I was just wondering if we know, do they have any intention to start within the 6 months? Why haven't they started? Is it just the economy has predicted that they haven't started, or is there something else holding them up?
They haven't mentioned anything to me. However, the maximum they can get is one additional 6 months.
I understand that. I was just wondering what their reasoning was for not starting yet, and if they had full intentions of starting, or we'll see them back here in 6 months again. Nobody's here. Thank you.
Thank you. Any members of the audience like to address this item? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Moving on to 7, I'm sorry.
May I just say something?
Certainly.
This is a trend, the city of Homestead is experiencing and other communities are experiencing, and actually I received an article from Laila Batiste about some publication talking about these extensions. It's a trend going all around, and we are just one of these cities that are experiencing this request for to postpone the construction.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
7B is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting the request of Maria Martin Hidalgo, Pablo Mendina, and Maria Mendina for a 6-month extension to a previously approved site plan for Brookstone Townhomes located on the southwest corner of Northeast 9th Court and Northeast 14th Avenue, as legally described in Exhibit A, an approximately 2.26-acre site consisting of 20 townhome units and providing for an effective date.
I move it.
It's been properly moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. I will now open the public hearing. I believe this is the last 6 months moratorium that they're going to be allowed on this. Is that correct?
This is the first.
This is the first. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Yes.
And I also want to add one more thing, for the public, you see in the screens the resolution, and also there are maps. You see the location that we are talking about if we don't have an agenda.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any comments or questions from council? Any members from the public would like to address this item? We'll now close the public hearing. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item C is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting site plan approval for development consisting of a 38,908 square foot warehouse expansion to an existing warehouse building on approximately 3.35 acres of land located at the southwest corner of Alex Muxo Boulevard and southwest 147th Avenue within the villages of Homestead, Development of Regional Impact, just south of the Park of Commerce, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
I'll entertain a motion for approval. I'll second. It's been properly moved and seconded. I will now open the public hearing. Is there a staff report on this item?
Yes, madam. This is the site plan approval for 38,900 square feet. Is an addition to an existing warehouse that they have. It's on 3.35 acre, and we do have approval from consultant for the base. They don't have any objection to this site plan, and it's on 142nd and Alex Muxo Boulevard.
Thank you very much. Any questions from council? Comments or questions from the public? We'll now close the public hearing. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 7D is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting site plan approval for the development consisting of a 7,605 square foot building on a portion of an approximately 2.13 acre site located within the Homestead Park of Commerce at the northwest corner of Southwest 336th Street and Southwest 142nd Avenue as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move it.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Now open the public hearing. Is there a staff report, Ms. Kamali?
Yes. This is a 2.13 acre of property that is right north of the Speedway Museum. It's a 7,000 square feet office building, and they comply with all our requirements, and They are in the village of Homestead DOI, so there's no traffic requirement for this project.
Thank you very much. Any comments from or questions to staff from council? I do.
And Mayor, I do.
Ms. Sierra? The Air Force...
No objection.
No objection, thank you.
Ms. Waldman?
Thank you, Mayor. This project just looks beautiful, and I want to thank Adam Bass and his dad, the architect there, Mr. Bass, for respecting the JO study. Because I know it would have been so much easy, it would have been easy for you to have tested us just a little bit, and I just want to thank you so much for that. I did the math, and it was just perfect, so thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Mr. Bass, any comments? I see you jumping up out of your seat.
I told my kids I'd be on TV.
We wouldn't want to disappoint the kids.
Okay.
Say hello to them.
My name's Adam Bass. I live at 1262 South Field Lark Lane in the village of Homestead. Our offices are at 100 Northeast 15th Street on Kings Highway. I grew up in Homestead and I've lived here since 1975. And I think I voted for everybody who was in the last election up on the council here.
Thank you.
We've been architects and builders here.
Hey, what about the election before that now, Mr. Bass?
We've been architects and builders here in Homestead since
Order, please.
for over 30 years, and we've worked throughout every municipality in Miami-Dade County and a good number of the municipalities in South Florida and throughout the United States, several other cities as well. And we just wanted to say it's important to recognize and a real pleasure to work with the building department right here in our hometown. Sherry Kamali leads an outstanding team. She's excellent to work with. She's always forthright, candid, easy to get in touch with. Ray Ortiz, Fran Schwartz are always very helpful, and we wanted to recognize that. Also, we'd like to thank everybody on the council, Mayor Bell, Judy, Wendy, everybody really, for allowing us to move forward with the Park of Commerce. We look forward to getting an excellent project started there. It'll make it proud as far as the quality of construction. It'll start generating taxes, and it'll bring in some very high-quality jobs with the FBI. So we just want to say thank you, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bass. With that being said, we'll now close the public comment.
Mayor Bell, if I just make one statement, I just wanted to comment on what you did on that corridor on Chrome Avenue and how you turned that vacant lot and all the businesses now that are housed there. Not only the Water Management District, but the Red Cross, driver's license plates, and so you did a spectacular job there, and I just look forward to this project here as well.
Mr. Bass, since Ms. Lobos brought that up, I only have one complaint about that project. It's in Florida City. Go, you have to go talk to Otis. No, thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Lobos. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
That completes your quasi-judicial matters. Moving on to your legislative matters agenda. Item 8A is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting the request of BDG Grove Plaza LLC for a small-scale amendment to the comprehensive plan by changing the land use designation of an approximately 4.6-acre site from low-density residential use LRU to light commercial use LCU, located at the southwest corner of Southwest 137th Avenue, Tallahassee Road, and Northeast 15th Street as legally described in Exhibit A, and providing for an effective date. This is first reading.
I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Initial comments from council?
Do we have a staff report on this?
Yes. This is a 4.6-acre of vacant property that is on 137th and between 16th, 15th and Campbell Drive. This is a parcel that has been in our office for last few years. In the year 2000, it got annexed to the city and it came to the council in year 2005 for a land use change. However, due to some legality of 12 months waiting period, they've been behind sitting in our office and they came back to us. However, our year wasn't sufficient, so they've been in the process for a long time, and we just brought it to your attention right now for your review and approval, mainly because our year got approved in January.
Share with the audience what the EAR is, Ms. Kamali.
Is appraisal and evaluation and appraisal report. Yes.
Thank you.
Maybe I have some questions.
Thank you. The applicant is here as well. Okay. The applicant, would the applicant like to present? And then we'll go ahead and have questions from council.
Okay, that's fine. And that might answer them.
Good evening, Council. My name is Melissa Tapanes-Yawaz. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Burkow, Liddell & Fernandez, offices at 200 South Biscayne Boulevard, Miami. We're representing the owner and the applicant, BDG Grove Plaza, LLC. And joining me this evening is Ashley Bosch and Manny Fernandez. They are both principals with BDG. Greg Kyle, our traffic engineer. My colleague, Jeffrey Burkow, and our friend Eric Frezin, who's assisting us with this matter. We're requesting a small-scale amendment to the city's comprehensive plan to redesignate the property from low-density residential, to light commercial. Zoning, site plan, and tentative plat applications have been submitted to the city, and the plans contemplate 2 Class A office buildings with a bank out parcel fronting on Southwest 137th Avenue. As staff mentioned, we have a favorable staff recommendation urging your approval. As you can see in this aerial exhibit, our property is approximately 4.6 acres located west of 137th Avenue, just north of Campbell Drive. The property is located between an FPL utility easement and the Waterstone PUD to the east, as well as the Homestead Air Force Base to the east. The Waterstone is to the west. The Grove at Waterstone, which is a 40-unit residential community, is located just to the north, and that was also developed by the applicant, BDG. Vacant land lies to the south, and construction of a commercial development is underway at Southwest 137th Avenue and Campbell Drive, and Homestead Hospital, as you can see at the aerial photograph, is located west on Campbell Drive. The applicant is proposing to redesignate this property to light commercial in order to develop the property as Homestead Office Park, again, a premier Class A office complex. The goal of the future land use element aims to establish and implement a future development pattern that provides adequate lands for growth and redevelopment, avoids undue concentration of people, and fosters growth in the city's traditional economic base as well as new industries. Approval of this application will ensure neighborhood-serving retail and office uses to surround the residential communities. There is a significant need for Class A office space to serve Homestead Hospital, as well as the growing professional class of residents that have purchased homes in the Homestead area over the last few years. Approval of this application will avoid the undue concentration of population by providing a mix of uses, and rather than develop this property as what it's currently designated as low-density residential, thereby adding to the residential market in this area, which actually creates issues with parks and schools in the area. The resulting development will bolster the city's traditional economic base and attract new businesses and provide jobs to the immediate area. As you can see by this aerial, there is limited commercial and office uses in this area of the city, and to service not only the residents but also Homestead Hospital. The approval of this application is consistent with Policy 3.5 of your comprehensive plan that requires an adequate inventory of commercial land so that expanding and new businesses can access the community's labor force. Urban planning principles usually dictate that commercial nodes should be located at the intersection of two section line roads. In this case, it would be Campbell Drive and 137th Avenue. So it would be the four corners of that intersection. Transitional uses such as neighborhood serving retail and office uses and higher density residential should line the section line roads, in this case 137th Avenue and Campbell Drive. The purpose is to buffer the lower density residential uses to the interior of the section. Construction of this commercial development is already underway at the northeast corner of Campbell Drive and southwest 137th Avenue. And you have a townhouse development and a project by the Homestead Housing Authority that are located at the two other intersections of Campbell Drive and 137th Avenue. So there's limited room in this area of the city to provide commercial and office spaces. It's also encumbered by the fact that the Homestead Air Reserve Base is located just east of Southwest 137th Avenue in this area. So implementation of these planning principles are important because not only do they ensure compatibility, but they also reduce the impacts on infrastructure, such as traffic. We'll have Greg Kyle make a short, brief presentation to you to show that having these mix of uses in close proximity to one another actually reduces the length of vehicle trips as well as the number of trips. So thereby, if you have this mix of uses in close proximity, what it does is it reduces the impact on area roadways and reduces traffic congestion. There are two major concerns that arise when you're developing neighborhood serving retail and office uses in close proximity to residential areas. The first is, how do we buffer the use to preserve the quality of life for the established residential areas? And the second is, again, the impact on infrastructure, specifically traffic. First, regarding buffering in this specific case, the property abuts the Waterstone PUD as well as the applicant's own Grove at Waterstone project. These residential areas are very much in the applicant's state of mind when he was designing the site plan that it will be before this council at a later time for your approval. The reason is because the owner still owns most of these residential lots to the north. So when designing this property, he really took that into account. There is a 20-foot utility easement owned by FPL that serves as a permanent safeguard between this property and the Waterstone PUD towards the west. There's also, the applicant designed this property to provide an 88-foot setback between the building line and the property line. And there's also a minimum rear setback required for that residential areas that abut it of 25 feet. All in all, the minimum space between two buildings are over 115 feet. In addition to this distance, the site plan that will come before this council at a later date provides a 6-foot tall CBS wall as well as lush landscaping. And when you add this all up, the idea is when we come back to this council, we'll be able to provide you with a line of sight exhibit that shows what will actually be the view from the abutting properties to this property. We've provided a beautiful facade, aesthetic elevations to make sure that it is consistent with the urban design guidelines that the city has adopted, to make sure that the view, if there is one after you put in all the landscaping and because of the distance, is a wonderful one. The bottom line is that any future development on this property will have to be approved by this council in the form of a zoning and site plan application. At that time, we will be meeting with the area residents. We'll be more than willing to address any comments and concerns that staff has, the city council has, planning and zoning has, or any residents have in the form of a declaration of restrictions prohibiting uses. The property owner intends to own this property for a long time, so it is in his best interest to be a good neighbor to his own property and the people who are purchasing his homes, as well as the residents of the Waterstone PUD. The second issue I addressed compatibility was traffic, and I would like Greg Kyle, our traffic engineer, to just say a few words about traffic in this area.
Good evening. Greg Kyle with Kimley Horn & Associates, office at 5200 Northwest 33rd Avenue in Fort Lauderdale. This area presently has an imbalance between the location of housing and the number of jobs and services that are available within the community. And providing a place of employment and services closer to the residences can result in shorter trip distances required to commute to work and for some basic service needs. According to the 2000 census, the existing number of jobs in the south part of Miami-Dade County is only equal to 63% of the population of the workforce. This forces longer trips and places more demand on the transportation system. Forecast out to the year 2030, population is expected to grow right now by 83% in the southern portion of the county, whereby the employment or the jobs are only projected to grow at this point by 45% based upon the existing future land use maps. This imbalance will place additional strain on the transportation network. Generally, residences serve as origins or generators of trips. On the other hand, commercial uses such as offices serve as destinations or attractors of trips. The area needs more attractors to reduce the need for longer trips to satisfy employment and basic shopping and service needs. This project will have a positive impact on transportation by providing the opportunity to have trip lengths reduced to satisfy some of the basic needs in terms of employments and services. Thanks.
Thank you.
A few more comments on the 2005 number to this public hearing application, which I think is worth noting. The short answer is why this is public hearing application 2005, it starts with the 2005, is that this applicant has been working with the city for over 3 years to get through this application actual process. The application process began in April 2005 at the time that the applicant was purchasing the property. He held a pre-application conference with city staff where the submittal of the small-scale application was brought up for the first time. As Mayor Bell and Councilwoman Waldman can confirm, back in 2005, the city was being inundated with residential applications, and that is what this property is designated for, residential. As such, staff had asked us to provide more office and commercial to serve this growing residential community. So we submitted an application, and on June 9, 2005, we appeared before the DRC for our first hearing. At that time, the Isler Planning Group, Marty Schneider, informed us that there might be an issue because this same property had been redesignated as part of the annexation process from the county map to the city map. No change actually took place, but because that actual legal process had taken place in the same 12 months, there might be a chance that the state law would prohibit us to move forward with the small-scale amendment process. So DCA, the Department of Community Affairs, said that that was exactly the case and basically told us that we could not move forward until 12 months of that actual comprehensive plan process being finalized. As you know, the comprehensive plan amendments were appealed by a third party, which lengthened that 12 months, and by the time it was November 23rd, 2006, the ear issue had come up. So there we have worked with city staff on this project for a very long time. It entailed trips to Tallahassee to assist the city in getting this ear approved and a finding of sufficiency and consistency. So we have been partners with the city for a very long time. It would have been very easy for the applicant to have built homes on this property just like he did next door. It was not in his best interest to hold on to the property for 3 years. As you know, the market has changed a lot in those 3 years. But this applicant did that because of the idea that the city does need office and neighborhood-serving retail in this area. So I just thought that was worth noting. In conclusion, this has been a long process. We could have developed this parcel as residential uses. Staff and the applicant did not believe that was in the best interest of the city. As an abutting property owner, this applicant has a vested interest in this immediate area. It is consistent with the goal of the future land use element as well as policy 3.5 of the comprehensive plan. Approval of this application will maximize the city's tax base, attract new and expanding businesses, bring jobs to area residents, buffer the residential communities in the interior of the sections from the major section line road, the Homestead Air Force Base to the east. It will also reduce the traffic congestion issues that you're starting to see in the city. The specific impacts of what we will move forward in this site planning process will be addressed at the site and the appropriate process, which is site plan. We're more than willing to work with staff, the council, area residents to address any concerns that may come up at that time. This council will have the final word as to what comes into that property. We have a favorable recommendation and urge your approval and respectfully request time for rebuttal if it's necessary. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from council while the applicant is here?
Did Ms. Sierra have first?
Ms. Sierra?
Yes, I do. I'm sorry.
But I still want to ask a question.
Sure.
Oops, okay, thank you.
Sure. Ms. Sierra?
Yes, P&Z did not give a favorable, it was 3-3 when they approved or did not approve the rezoning. And some of the comments made during their minutes and their meeting is exactly what I feel as a resident of Waterstone. Another thing that is disturbing is that no one in Waterstone knew that this was coming up, and I think a lot of it had to do with the way it was published in 137th Avenue and then Northeast 15th Street, as 137th Avenue is a Miami address and Northeast 15th is a Homestead address, was quite confusing to the residents. On my way over here, when I passed by the area and I realized exactly where the space was, I started calling some of the residents from Waterstone, and they were quite upset that they really didn't realize where the location was. We have a very, very horrible time with trespassing and the Publix that's neighboring to our community. In fact, I live in exactly that community, and I know the police has been there quite often with the trespassers that jump our fence to get into the commercial area. I understand the office, and I understand that there is need for work, but I also understand that it's very important for us to keep our neighborhoods safe, and I'm quite disappointed that my community wasn't able to be here. Their fault maybe, because they really didn't understand where the location was to be able to express themselves as I have right now.
Thank you, Ms. Sierra. Ms. Waldman?
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Sierra, you touched on many things that I was concerned with as well. I'm just going to ask you directly, were the homeowners informed when they bought their homes, that you had the plans to put a commercial strip there?
Well, this application has been part of the public record since 2005.
Right.
So that would be the notice. We first started advertising this public hearing in 2005. Right. So they've had repeated notice since 2005 as we have appeared before DRC, Planning and Zoning, and now the City Council. So as far as the actual, we provide the city with the mailing labels, and they send them out pursuant to city code. So this has been in the works since 2005. And to answer the councilwoman's concern regarding planning and zoning, we were very disappointed with our 3-3 no recommendation to the City Council. We believe that we earned a favorable staff recommendation, and we should have had a favorable recommendation at planning and zoning. The issue there, and if you look at the minutes, the expressed concern was very much the site plan issue. And before, back in 2005 when we started this process, small-scale amendments came to the City Council and to Planning and Zoning and to DRC with site plan, zoning, tentative plat, and the small-scale amendment. The city has since changed its process because of the issue of legislative items and quasi-judicial items. That is not the applicant's doing. We should not be prejudiced by that point. I believe that the questions, when the planning and zoning members asked us about our site plan, and when we told them about our site plan, we were able to get a 3-3 vote. And those are all part, have been expressed here regarding our site plan is all part of the public records and with your city staff since 2005. So I would say that yes, the neighbors have had notice of this, and we will more than happily meet with them and address any concerns that they may have. I believe that a commercial property such as Publix is much different than what we're asking in this application as limited commercial. That is more than limited commercial. Also, in this case, we have a specific safeguard between properties of 20 feet. So it's not just a CBS wall and residential and heavier commercial. It's a transitional use, office, light commercial. That's the designation we're requesting.
If I could just get back to what I'm trying to find out here. The 2005, were people actually living there in 2005, Ms. Kamala?
Yes.
When were the COs issued? I think that's a very important thing, because it's one thing to say the neighbors were sent letters, but if they weren't living in the houses, how did they know?
I have to check that for you, Ms. Waldman. I wasn't with the city at that time, but I can get the number of the COs for you.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I completely understand, but I don't have that information right now.
And do we even know if there was a response back, from the mailings that was sent out? The mailings that were sent out, do we have the responses? We don't have the minutes from those.
Mayor and Council, unfortunately I don't have that information, but I almost can guarantee you we don't have the same number of residents around the property looking back 3 years, because that's one of the areas that experienced the...
And that's what concerns me, is that we say, yes, they were informed, yes, I did everything I was supposed to do, yes, the labels were sent, and yes, the city sent it out. But these are people living in those houses. And did you say 20 feet?
There's a total of 115 feet.
Right, but there's no less than 20 feet, you said, near...
There's what you just said. At FPL, the utility easement, property owned by FPL is 20 feet. Between properties, the setback is 115 feet, but what I'm saying about the 20 feet is that there's another property owner between us, an FPL easement.
Well,
so that's separating the properties.
Now, you mentioned a bank. What else are you planning on putting in there?
Well, I think the applicant would like to speak.
Okay, good.
Can I pause for a minute? I want us to be very careful, because we are talking about a zoning application tonight. We're not talking about a site plan. So I want us to be very careful not to cross the line, because the site plan is going to be very subject to this council anyway.
Well, actually, we're talking about a future land use map amendment, not a rezoning or a site plan, which are quasi-judicial items, which would be coming back before you.
Right.
Mayor, I'm sorry. I only brought it up, Mayor, because she brought up the bank, so I just wanted to, I'm just piggybacking on what was said here. I'm sorry. Is it not appropriate for me to ask that question, James? I'll be happy to.
No, well, I think it's appropriate for you, but I would let the applicant, would caution the applicant in responding, and not for you all to get very specific or start having a dialogue in regards to those uses, because those will be quasi-items that will be coming.
I'll withdraw the question then. But I do just want to say as a general comment that I know how it is when you have commercial right in the middle of a residential area, and they go home at 5 o'clock, and then you have the traffic that goes into those parking lots, and you never know what's going to happen. I'm sure you'll have wonderful security. I'm sure that's all to be considered, but I am very much, as Ms. Sierra, concerned about the planning and zoning vote. So I'm interested to hear if there's any other comments.
I do have one.
Mayor Bell, I also have a comment.
Yeah. Let me let everybody speak.
Absolutely.
Ms. Lobos?
Yes, and I do want to acknowledge Mr. Shelley's comment. I see that he's sitting in the audience. Upon reading the P&Z minutes, I do understand the concern with having light commercial mixed in within residential, but then I kind of thought about our city and realized that starting within my own neighborhood, right across from Lakeshore, there's a small plaza there that has a gas station and at least 10 retail stores, and it's all surrounded by residential. If you go on to Campbell, then you have if you're heading west on the left-hand side, all of the shops there are right next to residential. If you head on over on the east side and you look at the corridor of restaurants, Publix, it's all next to residential. So this is not, and so then I wanted to see if there's been a deterioration of anything because of the commercial presence within those neighborhoods, and I really couldn't see it. I think that it can exist. I support light commercial in residential. I don't think that it's as much of a detriment as perhaps, once you think about it, that perhaps it could be. And as a matter of fact, I think it adds something to the neighborhood. I know that in my own neighborhood, a lot of people like it, that if they don't want to drive too long, that they can just hop into that gas station or just get something real quick. And I'm not saying that they're going to build a gas station, but I'm just saying that's just an example. Also, if you go on Chrome Avenue and you go on through the Chrome corridor, all of those shops, all of those different stores, office buildings, they're right in front of residential houses. So I don't believe that this is anything different than that. I don't think that it's going to be a detriment to the neighborhood. I would like in the future, and I know that you've expressed that you will do that you will consult with the residents, and perhaps Ms. Sierra, if this moves forward, that you can kind of coordinate that to make sure that the residents do have a say on the site plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lobos. Actually, I would recommend that when it comes to if it passes tonight, when it comes to the site plan phase, that you make sure that you coordinate with the Waterstone community so that whatever is built there is pleasing to the community. I want to echo some of the comments that Ms. Lobos had and add a few of my own. Over the last few years and attending different workshops and going to different conferences, one of the things that we've taken a good look at is urban design and the new urbanism and how we're trying to get the traffic off the road by bringing in commercial in towards the neighborhoods, not the other way around. And what happens when you have this, and I actually did read the P&Z minutes as well, and I did take a very good note of the comments. I don't find it to be conflicting whatsoever to have light commercial within the neighborhood community, because of what it does is it gets the cars off of the road to go a longer distance. So if you do happen to have a grocery store in your community, you're going to the closest one to you, so it's taking you off of Campbell Drive, off of US 1. If the bank is close to you, if this particular gas station is close to you, it's taking these cars off of the road, and it's actually lessening the impact, not increasing the impact. Especially when we're talking about, like I said, new urbanism, and I went to a design institute and took a look at a bunch of different, and that is it's really the old. It's just the old is new again. And that's the way it was when you would walk out and you would be able to go very quickly, sometimes preferably in the future within walking distance, if not a very, very short drive. So this is not conflicting with the neighborhood, not whatsoever. And I happen to live in an area that's just behind the Chrome Avenue corridor, and exactly what Ms. Lobo said is exactly reflective of my neighborhood as well. And so if you can go right to the corner and get gas rather than crossing over US 1, well, that's better for the entire community, because that's less traffic on the road as a whole. So I support this. I don't find it to be conflicting whatsoever, and I think, and I've consulted with staff on this, and I know that staff has given a favorable report. I have no problem with this whatsoever, and I will support it. But as Ms. Lobo said, as with anything, we had another issue with another B1A that they consult with the neighborhood, and they've resolved everything by consulting with the neighborhood. So I would greatly encourage you and Ms. Sierra to facilitate those meetings within the Waterstone community to make sure that's facilitated and that those residents are happy.
We're committed to do that.
Thank you. Any further comments from you?
Yeah, I just have one more. Since traffic was brought up several times, I just want to make the council aware that we currently are in the process of getting 2 traffic lights on 137th Avenue. One will be on Waterstone Boulevard, one will be in Waterstone Way in 137th, and this particular area where they're planning to do this light commercial will be 2 or 3 blocks from that light. Are they planning to put another light? I mean, it just is, it's just...
That'll have to be studied.
And one of the items that both you and Ms. Lobos brought up is the fact that these other commercial sites are in front of residential. This is not in front. This is kind of embedded into, and that's where I find the biggest problem with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sierra. Any further comments from council? Any comments from the public?
Homestead, 2040 Southeast 19th Street. Just to answer your question, Councilman Wallman, in July of 2005, I was in the market and seeking a new home, and I happened to pass through this residence, which was still under construction. And part of the sales pitch was that they informed their potential clients that behind them will be more residential homes. Now, if I were to buy one of these homes and then they show up with this, I'll feel like a victim of a bait and switch. So I just encourage them to just speak to the residents because, I mean, like Ms. Sierra said, I'm sure they weren't aware, otherwise they would be here. Okay, so that's it.
Thank you. Any other further comments from the public? I now close the public hearing. Any final comments for council?
Madam Mayor, council members, I represent BDG Grove Plaza as a principal, and I also am the owner of the property to its north, the 40 homes that were built to its north. I'm sorry, my name is Ashley Bosch, and I reside at 3907 Coral Gables, Florida. I was born and raised in this community. We have a vested interest in this community. One of the reasons that we're here working very closely with staff and with everyone, we're very, very committed to working with the residents in that area. As far as we're concerned, we know that we've made every effort possible to ensure, to the best of our ability, that everyone was informed. I can tell you, I don't know the resident that just spoke what property he was referring to. He might have been talking to the Carib Homes parcel to the west that was done behind this parcel, but the parcel to its north, I can guarantee you that every time any person walked into our sales office, we made sure that they were aware what was going on next door. Furthermore, we made sure that they understood that we were committed to enhancing the values of this area and not detracting. We would never do that. We have a long-term investment here. We're not here to run away. We're here to be here for a long time. And the things that we have done is there's already, like Council has already mentioned, there is that FPL buffer which specifically buffers the west, and those homes have an additional 25 feet from their property line to where the house actually starts. That said, I cannot answer the CO dates, Councilwoman Wallman, I cannot answer that, but I can tell you that I did talk with Mr. Martinez, the principal at Carib Homes, because we actually created one of the other buffers, which is the one to the north, because we went through a vacation of 304th Street. I believe you were on the council when we went through all that. So there's another buffer on the other side because that street has been vacated. The reason we spoke with Mr. Martinez was because the only properties that were served by that street at that time is the current property that's here today, our property to its north, and Mr. Martinez's property in the rear, because that street would have dead-ended in the South Florida Water Management District canal that runs in the rear there, which actually Mr. Martinez's property runs up to. When we spoke to him, he was okay with it. We were under the impression that he was informing everyone because we had talked with at the time, Director Charles LaPrade, and he was the one that had really gotten us focused on getting this done. And what we took into account during all this was that we were taking all the considerations of everyone in the community when we were doing it. Without getting into some of the site plans, because I know that's not something that's appropriate for here, the reason that we contemplated office use is because of the natural times that office is used versus homes. In other words, most offices, obviously, the people are leaving between 5:30 and 6. Therefore, it's more of a quiet setting for residents when most people are coming home. I can tell you in general that the site plan definitely takes that into account, and what you were speaking to would definitely be fronting the main avenue. Which this is it's just under a 5-acre parcel, and it's quite deep. So we made sure that we've taken the spacing into account in order to create the proper circulations for traffic as inside the parcel, as well as maintain these buffers that we are very sensitive to and understand that it is a consideration to continue to add value in that area. So without getting into more detail about the site plan, those things are concentrated definitely towards the east, which fronts on 137th Avenue. The rear of that site is asphalt parking stalls, as well as green space, and then the buildings line will start for office uses. So that's I just want to make that clear and explain that. If there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Mayor Bell, may I make just one last
Yes, Ms. Wallman.
And again, I know we can't get into what you're planning, but I just want to say that in our neighborhood, I mean, there's people in my neighborhood sitting in this audience, and we all know that we can't go to that shopping center after dark. There's been armed robberies. And Chief O, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because I've been in contact with Major Kennedy, even last week about crime and loitering and things that are going on in that shopping center, and people are afraid to go there at night. So all I'm saying to you is that that's a big concern for me as to what's going in there. So that's all I'm going to say for right now. Thank you.
Rest assured, Councilwoman Wallman, this is not intended to be a shopping center.
Okay.
This is intended to be a Class A professional center serving the professional, smaller offices that we believe are going to be coming up since you have such a higher concentration of residential homes and more professional people moving into your area, as well as ancillary medical services that might be in this area, as well as any of the people that want to expand that are in other areas of Miami-Dade South that want to expand their services. We're looking at a professional center, which we expect to manage and maintain at a very high level.
Well, I'm just going to say, I'm going to support this for now, but I'm going to tell you that when you meet with these folks and they come back and they say, no, I'm offended, I don't want this in my neighborhood, depending on what you bring back, I may change my mind at that point, but I will support you now, because I think you have a beautiful, beautiful presentation. But I'm very concerned.
Now, Councilwoman, we appreciate that, and we understand, and we are committed to working with Councilwoman Sierra and her group, and the group of residences in that area in whatever way, shape, or form we need to.
I thank you.
We'll get it done. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mayor Bell.
Yes, Ms. Lopez.
Councilwoman Waldman, and this is all in good nature here, but I have to also tell you that in our neighborhood, we also have a problem with Homestead Senior High, so it's not necessarily the commercial aspect of it. I know if anybody here lives in San Remo homes, for a long time there was a high break-in incident from students that would climb the fence from Homestead Senior High into the San Remo townhouses, and so I don't know if it's just because there's a lot of vacant land in the area. I don't know if it's just primarily the gas station, perhaps, but the same incident that you were just describing, I know I've heard a lot of San Remo residents complaining about the high school, and that's during the daytime. Yeah, they're just jumping over the fences. So I just wanted to also acknowledge that we do have a high level of vandalism coming from Homestead Senior High. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll now close the public hearing. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lopez?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
No.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.
Moving on to item 8.2, tab 8, is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting the request of Joseph Longo for a small-scale amendment to the comprehensive plan by changing the land use designation of an approximately .46-acre site from medium-density residential MRU to light commercial use LCU located at 29 Northeast 14th Street between North Chrome Avenue, Southwest 177th Avenue, and Northeast Chrome Terrace as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. This is first reading.
I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any initial comments from council? Any staff report?
Sure. This is a 0.46 acres is a small scale land use change from a medium density to light commercial. Is between Chrome Avenue and Chrome Terrace. Is between 14 and 15, right south of Tiffany Restaurant, Old Tiffany Restaurant, and the staff recommends for approval.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any comments from council? Any comments from the audience? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item is a motion to reconsider PH 2007-75A, the request of Investor Services LLC for a rezoning from one family district R1 to parking district P for property located the south side of Northwest 119th Street, just west of Chrome Avenue.
I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move.
Been properly moved?
I'll second.
And it's been properly moved and seconded. Any initial comments from council?
This was placed on the agenda at the request of Councilman Nelson.
Yes. It's a reconsideration. Thank you. Comments or questions?
Mayor Bell, I don't have any comments. I initially voted yes on this. So just so that I get the process correctly, what are we voting on today? To bring it up again? Is the applicant here again tonight? What?
No, what we're voting on tonight is the procedure that we followed for reconsideration is that if a quasi-judicial item is sought to be reconsidered, we place it on an agenda to see whether the motion for reconsideration passes. That's all that's on the agenda tonight, not a substantive discussion on the item. Councilman Nelson has indicated that he would like to move for reconsideration. He voted in the on the prevailing side last time, which was no, and he's placed it on the agenda, and it's here to determine whether there are 4 votes for reconsideration. If it passes tonight and the motion is reconsidered, then what we will do for the next agenda is advertise it as a regular zoning hearing, as we've done in the past, and that way everyone will be placed on notice of the fact that it's going to be heard again. But on the agenda tonight is just the motion for reconsideration, not a substantive discussion of this item.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. I think it's an appropriate motion, and it's appropriate to reconsider this item. It seemed to me that there was confusion over the actual 0.23 acres that was just mainly going to consist of parking, and there was confusing it with the actual site plan. And when I talked to the different residents, that's when we had the meeting in the Northwest. That seemed to be the biggest focus was on the site plan. Actually, they were really more concerned about that than they were concerned about the parking, but it seemed to kind of overflow. So I think the motion is in order, and then we will have a full discussion on the actual item itself. So thank you very much. Any further comments or questions from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, so for clarity, this will be advertised and placed on the agenda next time as if it had never been considered. It'll look like a brand-new zoning item.
And the date for the record will be April 7th.
Thank you. We'll now open the floor for public comment. If any member of the audience would like to make any public comment, please state your name.
Joe Nagangas, President of Eastlake and Delegate to Eastlake, Eastgate. Mayor and City Council, what I'd like to do is, I got a phone call last night, and this is a thank you from one of the Eastlake residents. She lives in Eastlake. She has a daughter that lives over in Oasis, and she walks back and forth with her daughter. And since we had a new sidewalk put in, and I know you've been thanked about this, but earlier this month there was an accident out there where a car on Kingman kind of lost control a little bit, went across that sidewalk and down into that 10-acre lot next to our 40-acre lot, 10-acre lot next to us. But the thing was, the lady called me and she wanted to know, and just asked me to come up here. She was supposed to be here tonight, but I don't see her. To thank you for putting in that sidewalk, because she says if it wasn't for that sidewalk, more than likely her and her daughter would have probably been hit by that car. So thank you for your speedy work in getting that sidewalk done. I believe Vice Mayor Burgess had a lot to do in pushing that along and getting that done. She would felt that her and her daughter definitely would have been hurt. So thank you for getting that sidewalk in there as fast as possible.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Jen Helms, 166 Northwest 19th Street. I had posed a question to your Public Works Director, Julio, but I noticed right on our street today, they started ripping up newly paved asphalt, and I didn't know what that was for. I think he's going to get me an answer tomorrow. I didn't know, since you were just talking about the project on the corner, if it was related to that, though. Because it's right there from 2nd to 1st being ripped up. I just didn't know. It just happened out of the blue. So
we'll get an answer for you, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Reverend Jimmy Williams, 550 Southwest 10th Avenue, Homestead. Just want to publicly thank Mayor Bell and Wendy Logos and Councilman McCormick for you all showing up for our Law Enforcement Day back in February. And so I wanted to make that publicly to let you all know how much we have appreciated you and honoring Chief Rowe and his distinguished police force. Amen. Okay, so thank you so very much. Publicly want to let you all know that. Thank you.
How you doing, Mayor and members of the council, people in Homestead? My name is Victor Dominguez. I graduated in South Bay class 2001. After I graduated, I left to the Army. I've been there ever since. Just came back. I got injured in Iraq, and I'm moving back to Homestead. I just wanted to, I guess, reintroduce myself to the city. I'm glad to be back. Chief Rowe, your son and I basically grew up together. It's good to see you again. And I heard that you guys got a new firing range coming up. I think that's a great idea for you guys. If you guys need anything else, if you guys need anything from me, I'd love to help out with that. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you and welcome back.
Oh, it's great to be back, man.
Thank you. We're glad to have you.
Oh, and by the way, I see you got a 10th Mountain thing. We're going to have to get you a Ranger or 101st thing going. I don't know.
Okay, all right. You got it.
Y'all take care.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Business from the city manager.
Mayor, council members, I have just two quick items. In the last council meeting, Councilwoman Wardman brought up the issue with security. We do have a metal detector, walk-through metal detector. It's a portable one the police department has. If there is no objection from council, you will see it at our next public meeting, and that will be the next cow.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
You are welcome. The other thing, Mayor, you asked us to look into the logo. The airplane is on the logo, and we will bring it for the next cow also.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Report from council. Councilman McCormick.
I have one thing. You guys not to forget Easter egg hunt this Saturday morning at 9:30 at Harrisfield. That's all I have for this week.
Thank you so much, Councilman. Councilman Nelson.
I have a couple things. I don't know who I need to address it to, Public Works, or it might even be Dade County, but I was driving to Mallory the other day, and I noticed at 6th Avenue we have no street signs at all. And I was wondering if there's something we could do to get Mallory and 6th Avenue some street signs, whether it's Dade County or us.
That's Dade County, and we will take care of it.
Okay.
We will notify them, and normally they respond to our request.
And there is a school right down 6th Avenue, about 6 blocks away, 5 blocks away. There's no crosswalk lighting at this intersection. I noticed at an intersection just east of it, they're at all that intersection, and I was wondering if there's maybe a reason why. It's an elementary school, and a lot of kids I saw walking, dodging traffic. And I was wondering if there was something that, the walk, don't walk signs, if that could be looked at?
Again, we'll bring it to the attention of Dade County, but I can tell you the school board is the most difficult entity to work with when it comes to spending money. But we will definitely bring it to their attention.
Okay. Thank you. And I rode with the police department about 2 weeks ago a couple times. I rode with Officer Beaver, very professional. We had a uneventful night, but we did some good. I understand the problems on the east side and with crime and stuff like that, how it's becoming a big burden. And I understand Ms. Sierra with her concerns. And this is something when the applicant comes back, these are problems that need to be addressed with them. I met with the police explorers tonight. Very nice, very awesome little group. They're very structured. If you haven't ever been to a meeting, it's just like here. They read the minutes, all the items, and it was very interesting. And I plan to do a couple things with them in the near future. And I hope everybody has a excellent Easter coming up. And I see a lot of green today. I hope everybody ate corned beef and cabbage, as I know I will tonight. So thank you. That's it.
Thank you so much. Councilwoman Sierra? Yes, Mayor and Council, I would like to let you know that you have 21 remarkable citizens working on an education compact with Dade County Public Schools. They've already met. Most of the groups have met once, and some have already met twice. We have identified 5 tasks that we're going to be focusing on for our great city, and within those tasks, we're identifying 3 areas that we want to work on for the first year. Our next meeting for the Education Committee will take place on March 27th here at Chambers at 5:15. Also, and Mr. Shahada stole my thunder there, I wanted to let the mayor know that Ms. Lillian Delgado has already presented some of the ideas for the new logo, for the new city logo, and we will be bringing it to you very, very shortly. Wanted to mention that the next tourism committee, or the first tourism committee, is on April 3rd at 5:30, City Manager's Conference Room. And I have one question from staff or city manager. I've been getting a lot of questions from residents within my own community and abroad as to how we are doing on hiring the auditor. I know that we have it advertised, and I know, have we gotten any information, anybody applying?
Councilwoman Sierra, first I apologize for stealing your thunder. That wasn't intentional. It's just I was too excited, and actually I didn't see it in the write-up sheet submitted, so I'm sorry there. But Marcy, can you please give us an update?
Yes, Mayor Bell, Councilwoman Sierra, we do finally have some candidates that look promising, and part of it has been trying to coordinate everyone's schedule. But that was one thing that I did have to speak with the mayor and the manager after this meeting. We do have some candidates that they're not all local, they're all over the country, from California to New York and down to Florida. So we need to focus on if we want to start local, but we do have some good candidates. So
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'll be able to give an answer now when they ask me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm done. Thank you, Councilwoman Sierra. Councilwoman Walden.
Thank you, Mayor. Happy St. Patty's Day. I'm as green as I can be here. I had the honor to attend the Military Affairs Luncheon that was held out at the Homeland Security Building on the Air Base. It was wonderful. It was so well attended, and we were honored with a slide, well, I guess it was a PowerPoint presentation of all the, of course they couldn't tell us everything, but of their maneuvers and how they go about doing certain missions. And on top of everything else, they gave us a tour of the building and of the hangar, and we were able to see the airplanes that they use and also their helicopters. And to stand next to that Black Hawk helicopter was just amazing. You know, it was so big, and you see it in the sky, and it's so magnificent and majestic, but to see it firsthand was just absolutely wonderful. And I know I speak for each and every person on this council. We all know how important the base is, and we respect and admire everything that you do. And the gentleman that just got back from Iraq, God bless you. Thank you for serving our country, and You have a smile on your face. Thank you so much. And thank you for coming to the council. Thank you. I also attended a ceremony announcing the historic Downtown National Registry designation at Losner Park last week. This was a wonderful, wonderful morning. The mayor spoke, and I want to just give a personal thank you to Sophia with CRA and the Historic Preservation Committee, because they did work very hard. It was a very arduous task, tedious task, and it came about. Dan, congratulations. I think that this will open the doors to so many opportunities for the downtown, not only the downtown merchants, but the downtown community as a whole. So I want to give you my congratulations and thank you. Also, congratulations are due for our Women of the Year of the City of Homestead. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend the dinner and the fashion show, but I supported it, and I sent my poor husband to get a takeout because I knew how good those ladies how they can cook. So, but I did want to congratulate all the different clubs and their choices for their Women of the Year and say congratulations. They work very hard in the community, and they deserve this award. The Little Angels, we held our 5th annual Monte Carlo night, Saturday night, and I am tired. It was absolutely fabulous. I think we had about 300 people there. We raised about $20,000, and people are still giving us checks, so I know that amount is going to go up even more. Keysgate, I want to say congratulations to the new manager of Keysgate. His name is Dan, and Lisa, the event coordinator. They just worked with us beautifully. Everything we asked, they did, and even more, and the food was delicious. So I'm just giving a little plug there to Keysgate. I want to thank our chairwoman, Michelle Torbert, and Kim Booth, for all the hard work that they did, and thank you to Norman Brothers for the cake. Tim, I'm sure you probably baked it. Thank you very much. And it was just wonderful. I can't tell you how much we appreciate it. With that money, we'll be able to help a lot of children in the community. And then my ultimate event that I was able to attend, I was invited to a dinner last week. Mayor Bell was there, and our city managers were there as well, hosted by Mayor Carlos Alvarez, and it was held at the Deering Estate. It was a kickoff party for the Great Park Summit 2008, which was held the following day. They surprised me because when they called and they said, "Judy, you have to be there, you have to be there," and I said, okay. They surprised me because the Park to Park was their showcase. I mean, that was one of the projects that was showcased. And I was so thrilled. I get to see all the people that I've been working with all these years, and we had nice chats and talks, and I really enjoyed it. I just want to say that Will Rogers, I know that name is... he's not related to the original Will Rogers, he said in the presentation, but he's the president of the Trust for Public Land. And he publicly said that the Trailway will be the largest economic tourism boost, not only to the city of Homestead, but Dade County, and make a major impact on the state of Florida. So he has invited me to work with him, and I will be working with him in Washington, the Department of Interior, and Jack Cardis, the new director for Parks and Recs. He and I have known each other for a long time, and Jack is going to work with me as well in Tallahassee and Washington. And of course, I'll continue to work with Dan Kimball with the Everglades National Park, and Mark Lewis with Biscayne National Park. And I see a representative from Everglades, Alice. Thank you for being here. Alice is a scientist with Everglades. And we're going to make this happen. I just want, there's a lot of different articles in the Herald. I just wanted to read one little excerpt of an article that was written by Xavier Martinez. It says, the plan's crown jewel is the proposed Biscayne Everglades Trail, a 42-mile-long bicycle trail that loops around the southern portion of the county from Biscayne National Park to Everglades. Nowhere else in the country do you have a bicycle and a pedestrian pathway that brings two national parks together, Carter said. And it goes on and on. You can pull these off the Miami Herald website. I mean, there's so many different things, wonderful things that were said about the Trailway, and I'm just proud to be a part of it, and I want to thank the community, and I want to thank this council, city manager, city attorney, everyone on staff, because you've been a part of it with me throughout the duration. And Melvin, I want to say a big thank you to you for the last meeting when you said that you were going to do everything you could to work with me and vice versa. So thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Vice Mayor Burgess?
Okay. I just want to let the council know that Julio has been working very hard, and we'll be bringing some beautification projects forward at the next CAL meeting that I think the council will be very happy with it, as well as the general public, with some of the things we want to do to improve the scenery along the highway, some of the main corridors here in town, and I think they've done an excellent job. So we'll be bringing those forward to you guys next time. Let you know that I've talked with several people who are going to help me get this Mayor's Youth Council going in the right direction, and we'll get that going ASAP. They've got some good ideas that they want to bring forward. There may be some little changes and tweaking of the way it's run and how things are done, but it's on its way. The Human Relations Board is having a meeting this Thursday. I believe it's 6:30. Is that right, Brian? Here in the manager's office. And to anybody that wants to attend from that, they do great things for both Homestead and Florida City. And that. Two people I want to thank, Angel Lazo and both Julio Barea. They've done hard work for, I guess, almost a year and a half, getting us a stoplight over on Palm Drive and over there by the high school, and that should be taking place hopefully soon. Maybe Julio can tell us exactly a time frame on that, but I think within several months we'll see something done there, and helping out the firehouse over there with a better access to crossing the highway. So I know that will make them happy. Attended the great grand openings this weekend of three new businesses here in Homestead that everybody is talking highly about. The Atlanta Bread Company, the Miyagi Sushi Bar, and Havana Joe's. On Saturday afternoon they did a joint grand opening over there at the plaza, which was attended by, I'd say, several hundred people, and I think a good time was had by most, and the food was good, as I took a lot of it home with me. I see one guy that must have snuck out tonight to get quiet time from the new baby back there, but I want to tell Adrian congratulations on his newborn daughter, and use your quiet time well. He's a great volunteer for the city and helps with many different things and helps the youth. Yeah, I was there 2 years ago. I was there, so I know what you're doing. Anyway, that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Burgess. Councilwoman Lopez.
Thank you, Mayor. About a month ago, a resident who is not here tonight, and I'm sorry that he's not here because I'm going to acknowledge an idea that he brought forth, and it may be very simple, but it was significant. He asked us why the parking lot wasn't more customer service friendly to its customers, and so I went ahead and told our city manager, Mr. Shahan, I said, why don't we look into it? Every company that you go to has to welcome that out by making sure that all of its customers can park as closely as possible, and that all the employees park as far back as possible to allow that parking lot. Well, immediately, our city manager got the entire parking lot repaved, repainted, redone, and I don't know if you've noticed or not, but now you have closer parking, and that's one of our small initiatives in showing that we're really trying to be customer-driven. So thank you, Mr. Shahada, for that. I also have to, and just as a side note, I agree with Councilwoman Waldman. That presentation, I mean, was one of a kind, to be out there and to be up and close with the aircrafts. And the presentation to me was a thumbs up because, as many of you know, my mom works with the Air Force Base. She's an assistant manager out at the BX, so she has pulled her mobility, so that means that she cannot be sent anywhere else in the world. So as long as the base is there, she has a job. So I was very happy to hear that they're there and that they're expanding. That means my mom can continue and does not have to pull any early retirement, so I was glad to hear that. This past week, I rode around with Mr. Dan Wick, and we did kind of like a CRA tour. And I know with all of the media stories and the past headaches that we've had with some of the CRA projects, that when we say CRA, a lot of us think the shotgun houses. So I was impressed with how much area the CRA covers, because it really is more than just the southwest section. We went over into the Main Street corridor, and then finally, I was really excited to see some of the things that are happening out in the industrial area. There's a lot of new warehouses, a lot of businesses are investing heavily out in that industrial area, including this beautiful old train station that is going to be converted into kind of like an auction house kind of deal. And there's something that we can do to help that happen. There's like an alleyway that is completely destroyed, so I know Mr. Wick said that that was going to be one of the priorities, and so I was just glad, and hopefully once, since I mentioned the shotgun houses, once this is done and over with, we can concentrate on other areas of the CRA stuff. And so another to also say about the shotgun houses, and I've been saying this, and I don't know what kind of ceremony, but because of its significance, I think that once the demolition bid goes out, Mr. Wick, I would like to have some kind of ceremony. And I thought about sledgehammers and giving it to each individual so we can all take a hit at that project. But we can also do demolition, as we can stand around and watch the first house be torn down, but I really want it to be significant. I want to be invited, and I want you to give us the time frame as to when this demolition thing is going to happen. I know there's this one tenant out there, and every time I drive by, I always look to the right, and there's always a car there, so I'm hoping that this moving her is happening quickly.
By the end of the month, or beginning first week in April, we should have her out. We've been identifying some new units for her, and the bid's going to be probably released in mid-April with an opening date in May. So we'll try to coordinate that opening date and the selection of the contractor with a groundbreaking, ribbon-cutting ceremony.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wick. I know a couple of things have been talked about already, so I'm just going to say the Historic Preservation Board. I just want to say congratulations again on the official designation. The ribbon cutting, AT&T was also part of that, and I just wish them well and lots of business and lots of customers. And I just want to say to everybody, happy St. Patrick's, and I hope that you have a joyous and peaceful Easter weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lobos.
Excuse me, Maribel, I have a brief report. I didn't know if you wanted to give it before or after, because that's after your report.
You have a brief what?
Report. I didn't know whether you want me to do before or after.
Go ahead.
I need to request some executive my reports are not that exciting. I need to request an executive session on the reliable substation case, which involves electric substation. We have an issue with a lawsuit that's been filed. Kathleen Wheeler versus City of Homestead is the second case, which is a slip and fall sidewalk case that our outside counsel has a suggested settlement on. We have another one on the Redland Company versus City of Homestead. There's an offer on the table that we need to present to you. And at your next meeting, we don't need an executive session, but I wanted to report to you that we were able to settle the bowling alley case at an amount less than you had authorized, so that'll come to but there was a mediation, I guess, Friday, Mike, where Mr. Shahada and Mike Popak from our office were able to resolve that less than the authority that you had given us. So we'll have that on your next agenda. I know it wasn't very exciting, but I needed to get it in.
Necessary. Thank you, Mr. Weiss. First item on the agenda under my business, I have board committee appointments. I would like to entertain a motion to receive, and along with the Tourism Committee, Brian Canessa and Don Gonzalez. I move. I second. It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. And the ayes carry. Thank you. Item 2, Human Relations Board's reappointments, Ronald Donaldson and Wilfred Pressa. I move. I'll second. Been properly moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. And the ayes carry. Thank you. And item number 3, the 2008 Charter Review Committee. We are about to begin the charter review process, and these are the names that I put before you. William E. Davis Jr., Lois Jones, Elvis Maldonado, David Payton, and Kevin Sullivan. I'll entertain a motion for approval of all of the names. I'll move it. No second. It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. And the ayes carry. Thank you. So many of the items that I was going to talk about have already been mentioned, so I won't mention them, the historic ribbon cutting and the historic designation. I also took the CRA tour the very next day, and also was equally impressed. And Joyce Kaczynski will be very glad to hear that she is the one that owns the train station, and it's just phenomenal what she wants to do with that business, and so I'm very excited about that. Congratulations congratulations to the City of Homestead Police Department for a very successful Texas Hold'em poker tournament for juvenile diabetes. I'm still waiting on the final tally on how much they brought in, but it was a great event for a great, great cause for juvenile diabetes, which actually affects some of our city employees, some of the children of our police officers, so this was very, very good. I wasn't able to be at the last MAC meeting because I was in Tallahassee with our manager, and we actually testified before a commission that only meets every 10 years on our every 20 years on our issue that's related to the tax that we have to pay to the county on the speedway. And this was so successful that we passed out of this commission with only one person voting no. Now, we still have some major hurdles to go, but just to frame it, we want a level playing field. The cities have to pay a tax to the counties if they own a property and then they lease it to a for-profit company or for-profit corporation. Even if it has a public good and a public use, the cities have to pay a tax to the county. But by the way, the counties are exempt from paying a tax, the states are exempt, and the federal government is exempt. The only ones that are on the hook for that tax are the cities. So we're trying to get that actually removed. Mr. Shahada, anything else on that?
Also, the school board is exempt, so practically only local cities are not exempt.
Thank you. And so what's happening is, I'll give you an example. St. Petersburg owns an airport. What they did is they deeded the airport over to the county so that they wouldn't have to pay a tax. The county, like if the county owns the airport, like in our county, they don't have to pay a tax. But if the city were to own the airport, then the city would have to pay the tax. So we're just asking for a level playing field in the legislature. And so that's something that we're working on. And this, like I said, we do have other hurdles to go to, but this win was huge. I want you to understand this was a big win, and Mike Shahada and I testified before this commission, and I just want to thank you for that, and I think it was a success, and I'm very pleased about that. And I'm excited to hear about somebody else being excited about the Military Affairs Committee, because I've been attending the Military Affairs Committee for 4 years, and that Black Hawk helicopter, it is exciting, and it's just as exciting from the inside when you're up in the air, let me tell you. It is great. And so I was privileged to attend a tour, a VIP military tour, and be in the Black Hawk as well as the F-16. So I am so glad to see that other members of council are getting interested in the Military Affairs Committee. I'm thrilled because it's been a part of what I've been doing for the past 4 years. So I just absolutely welcome that. When we went to that park summit, well, it was fun. It was a good evening. And what we got to see was so impressive to me was how cities can utilize its common areas as green space to create a form of linear park, such as neighborhoods with a lot of space between, let's say, the sidewalk and the homes or the sidewalk and the streets, to create linear parks and to create these green parks. And I thought that was something, and Mike and Joanna went, and I thought that was something that we really could take a good look into with these linear parks. And I learned something that day. I don't know if it was somebody told me that Homestead, Mr. Shahada, correct me on this, Homestead had the very first city bike path in the nation in the 1960s or something like that? Was it 60s? Yes. I mean, we were the first ones, so that was amazing.
That's correct. And the guy who did the presentation, David, who did the master plan for the city of Homestead, brought to our attention something I personally did not know. He said back in the 60s and 70s and years before, there used to be a national event held in Homestead for bicycles. And actually we asked David to try to find out more for us about this event and see if we can bring it back to the area.
Yes, it was very, very fascinating. Very fascinating.
Maybe if I might just tell you that, and Ruth Campbell's our little expert on all this, but in 1960, and I think for several years, we were known as the bicycle capital of the world.
Yes.
World?
Or the country. I know the country. I don't know.
It was world, wasn't it, Ruth?
Yes.
It was the world. Bicycle capital of the world. So that's a big deal, and that's why Ruth has worked very hard in raising several hundred thousands of dollars for a bicycle museum that we're going to be working on together. So thank you, Mayor, for mentioning that.
Thank you. So I thought that was a very interesting footnote. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for your attendance tonight, and with no further business to attend to, this meeting is adjourned.